all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All praises due. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel who are out there practicing the law of liberty. So, we're going to continue with our Lost Book series, and we're going to continue with the second book of Adam and Eve. The second book of Adam and Eve. Now, I finished all the videos with the first book of Adam and Eve, so it will probably be beneficial if you go through those videos first, so you can kind of get a good understanding of what's going on with the second book of Adam and Eve, because the second book of Adam and Eve picks off at the end of the first book of Adam and Eve. So, if you want to kind of follow along what's going on, I would strongly suggest that you go through those videos of the first book of Adam and Eve. So anyway, let's get started with chapter 1. When Luluwa heard Cain's words, she wept and went to her father and mother and told them how that Cain had killed his brother Abel. Then they all cried aloud and lifted up their voices and slapped their faces and threw dust upon their heads and rent asunder their garments and went out and came to the place where Abel was killed. And they found him laying on the earth, killed, and beasts around him. While they wept and cried because of this just one, from his body, by reason of his purity, went forth a smell of sweet spices. And Adam carried him, his tears streaming down his face, and went to the cave of treasures, where he laid him, and wound him up with sweet spices and myrrh. And Adam and Eve continued by the burial of him in great grief 140 days. And Abel was 15 and a half years old, and Cain 17 and a half years old. And for Cain, when the mourning for his brother was ended, he took his sister Luluwa and married her, without leave from his father and mother, for they could not keep him from her by reason of their heavy heart. He then went down to the bottom of the mountain, away from the garden, near the place where he had killed his brother. And in that place were many fruit trees and forest trees. His sister bare him children, who in their turn began to multiply by degree until they filled that place. But as for Adam and Eve, they came together after Abel's funeral for 7 years. And after this, however, Eve conceived. And while she was with child, Adam said to her, "Come, let us take an offering and offer it up unto God, and ask him to give us a fair child in whom we may find comfort, and whom we may join in marriage to Abel's sister." Then they prepared an offering and brought it up to the altar and offered it before the Lord, and began to entreat him to accept their offering and to give them a good offspring. And God heard Adam and accepted his offering. Then they worshipped Adam and Eve and their daughter, and came down to the cave of treasures and placed a lamp in it to burn by night and by day before the body of Abel. Then Adam and Eve continued fasting and praying until Eve's time came that she should be delivered, when she said to Adam, "I wish to go to the cave in the rock to bring forth in it." And he said, "Go, and take with thee thy daughter to wait on thee, but I will remain here in the cave of treasures before the body of my son Abel." Then Eve hearkened to Adam, and went, she and her daughter, but Adam remained by himself in the cave of treasures. Chapter 2. And Eve brought forth a son, perfectly beautiful in figure and in countenance. His beauty was like that of his father Adam, yet more beautiful. Then Eve was comforted when she saw him, and remained 8 days in the cave. Then she sent her daughter unto Adam to tell him to come and see the child and name him. But the daughter stayed in his place by the body of her brother until Adam returned. So did she. But when Adam came and saw the child good looks, his beauty, and his perfect figure, he rejoiced over him and was comforted for Abel. Then he named the child Seth. That means that God has heard my prayers and delivered me out of my afflictions. But it means also power and strength. Then after Adam had named the child, he returned to the cave of treasures, and his daughter went back to her mother. But Eve continued in the cave until 40 days were fulfilled, when she came to Adam and brought with her the child and her daughter. And they came to a river of water, where Adam and her daughter washed themselves because of their sorrow for Abel. But Eve and the baby washed for purification. Then they returned and took an offering and went to the mountain and offered it up for the babe. And God accepted their offer and sent his blessings upon them, upon their son Seth. And they came back to the cave of treasures. For Adam, he knew not again his wife Eve all the days of his life, neither was any more offspring born of them, but only those five, Cain, Luluwa, Abel, Akila, Seth alone. But Seth waxed in stature and in strength, and began to fast and pray fervently. Chapter 3. As for our father Adam, at the end of 7 years from the day he had been severed from his wife Eve, Satan envied him when he saw him thus separated from her, and strove to make him live with her again. Then Adam arose and went up above the cave of treasures, and continued to sleep there night by night. But as soon as it was light, every day he came down to the cave to pray there, and to receive a blessing from it. But when it was evening, he went up upon the roof of the cave, where he slept by himself, fearing lest Satan should overcome him. And he continued thus apart 39 days. Then Satan, the hater of all good, when he saw Adam thus alone, fasting and praying, appeared unto him in the form of a beautiful woman, who came and stood before him in the night of the 40th day, and said unto him, O Adam, from the time ye have dwelt in this cave, we have experienced great peace from you, and your prayers have reached us, and we have been comforted about you. But now, O Adam, that thou hast gone up over the roof of the cave to sleep, we have doubts about thee, and a great sorrow has come upon us because of thy separation from Eve. Then again, when thou art on the roof of the cave, thy prayers is poured out, and thy heart wanders from side to side. But when thou wast in the cave, thy prayers was like fire gathered together. It came down to us, and thou didst find rest. Then I also grieve over thy child, who are severed from thee, and my sorrows is great about the murder of the son Abel, for he was righteous. Over a righteous man everyone will grieve. But I rejoice over the birth of thy son Seth. Yet after a little while I sorrow greatly over Eve, because she is my sister. For when God sent a deep sleep over thee, and drew her out thy side, he brought me out also with her. But he raised her by placing her with thee, while he lowered me. I rejoice over my sister for her being with thee. But God had made me a promise before, and said, Grieve not, for Adam is gone up on the roof of the cave of treasure, and is separated from Eve his wife. I will send thee to him. Thou should join thyself to him in marriage, and bear him 5 children, as Eve did bear him 5. And now, lo, God promised to make me is fulfilled, for it is he who has sent me to thee for the wedding. Because if thou wed me, I shall bear thee finer and better children than those of Eve. Then again, thou art as yet but a youth. End not thy youth in the world in sorrow, but spend the days of the youth in myrrh and in pleasure. For thy days are few, and thy trials is great. Be strong, end thy days in the world in rejoicing. I shall take pleasure in thee, and thou shalt rejoice with me in this wise, without fear. Up then, and fulfill the commandment of thy God. She then drew near to Adam and embraced him. But when Adam saw that he should be overcome by her, he prayed to God with a fervent heart to deliver him from her. Then God sent his word unto Adam, saying, O Adam, that figure is one that promised thee the Godhead and the majesty. He is not favorable disposed towards thee, but shows himself to thee at one in the form of a woman, another moment in the likeness of an angel, and another occasion in the similitudes of a serpent, and at another time in the semblance of a god. But he does all that only to destroy thy soul. Now therefore, O Adam, understand thy heart. I have delivered thee many times from his hands, in order to show thee that I am merciful God, and that I wish thy good, and that do not wish thy ruin. Chapter 4. Then God ordered Satan to show himself to Adam plainly, in his own hideous form. But when Adam saw him, he feared and trembled at the sight of him. And God said to Adam, Look at this devil, and at his hideous look, and know that he is who made thee fall from brightness into darkness, from peace and rest to toil and misery. And look, O Adam, at him, who said of himself that he is God. Can God be black? What God take the form of a woman? Is there any one stronger than God? and can he be overpowered? See then, O Adam, and behold, him bound in thy presence, in the air unable to flee away. Therefore I say unto thee, be not afraid of him. Henceforth take care and beware of him, and whatever he may do to thee. Then God drove Satan away from before Adam, whom he strengthened, and whom heart he comforted, saying to him, go down to the cave of treasures, and separate thyself from Eve. I will quell in you all animal lust. From that hour he left Adam and Eve, and they rejoiced, rested by the commandments of God. But God did not like to any one of Adam's seed, but only to Adam and Eve. Then Adam worshipped before the Lord for having delivered him, and for having laid his passion. And he came down from above the cave, and dwelt with Eve as aforetime. This ended the 40 days of his separations from Eve. Chapter 5. As for Seth, he was 7 years old. He knew good and evil, and was consistent in fasting and prayer, and spent all of his nights entreating God for mercy and forgiveness. He also fasted when bringing up his offering every day, more than his father did, for he was of fair countenance, like unto an angel of God. He also had a good heart, preserved the finest qualities of his soul, and for this reason he brought up his offerings every day. And God was pleased with his offering, but he was also pleased with his purity. He continued thus in doing the will of God and of his father and mother until he was 7 years old. And after that he was coming down from the altar, having ended his offering. Satan appeared unto him in the form of a beautiful angel, bright brilliantly with light, and with a staff of light in his hand, himself girded about with a girdle of light. He greeted Seth with a beautiful smile, and began to beguile him with fair words, saying unto him, O Seth, why abidest thou in this mountain? For it is rough, full of stones and sand, and trees with no good fruit on them, a wilderness without habitations, and without towns, no good place to dwell in, but all is heat, weariness, and trouble. He said further, but we dwell in beautiful places, in another world than this earth. Our world is one of light, and our conditions is of the best. Our women are handsomer than any other, and I wish thee, O Seth, to wed one of them, because I see that thou art fair to look upon. And in this land there is not one woman good enough for thee. Besides, all those who live in this world are only 5 souls. But in our world there are very many men and many maidens, all more beautiful one than another. I wish therefore to remove thee hence, that thou mayest see my relations, and be wedded to which even thou likest. Then shalt thou abide by me, and be at peace. Thou shalt be filled with splendor and light, as we are. Thou shalt remain in our world, and rest from this world of misery of it, and thou shalt never again feel faint and weary. Thou shalt never bring up an offering, nor sue of mercy, but thou commit no more sins, nor be swayed by passions. And if thou wilt hearken to what I say, thou shalt wed one of my daughters. For with us it is no sin so to do, neither is it a reckoned animal lust. For in our world we have no God, but we are all gods. We are all the light, heavenly, powerful, strong, and glorious. Chapter 6. When Seth heard these words, he was amazed, and inclined his heart to Satan's treachery speech, and said to him, sayest thou there is another world created than this, and other creatures more beautiful than the creatures that are in this world? And Satan said, yes, behold, thou hast heard me, but I will yet praise them in their ways, in their hearing. But Seth said to him, thy speech has amazed me, and thy beautiful description of it all. Yet I cannot go with thee today, not until I have gone to my father Adam and to my mother Eve, and told them all that thou hast said to me. Then if they give me leave to go with thee, I will come. And Seth said, I am afraid of doing anything without my father or mother's leave, lest I perish like my brother Cain, and like my father Adam, who transgressed the commandments of God. But behold, thou knowest this place. Come and meet me here tomorrow. When Satan heard this, he said to Seth, if thou tellest thy father Adam what I have told thee, he will not let thee come with me. But hearken to me. Do not tell thy father and thy mother what I said to thee, but come with me today to our world, what thou shalt see beautiful things, and enjoy thyself there, and revel there this day among my children, beholding them, and taking thy fill of mirth, and they rejoice even more. Then I shall bring thee back to this place tomorrow. But if thou wouldest rather abide with me, so be it. Then Seth answered, The spirit of my father and my mother hangeth on me, and if I hide from them one day, they will die, and God will hold me guilty of sinning against them. And except that they know I have come to this place to bring up to it my offering, they will not be separated from me 1 hour. Neither should I go to any other place unless they let me. But they treat me most kindly, because I come back to them quickly. Then Satan said to him, What will happen to thee if thou hide thyself from them one night, and return to them at daybreak? But Seth, when he saw how he kept on talking, and that he would not leave him, ran and went up to the altar, and spread his hands upon God, and sought deliverance from him. Then God sent his word and cursed Satan, who fled from him. But as for Seth, he had gone up to the altar, saying thus in his heart, The altar is the place of offering, and God is there. A divine fire shall consume it. So shall Satan be unable to hurt me, and shall not take me away thence. Then Seth came down from the altar, and went to his father and mother, what he found in the way, longing to hear his voice, for he had tarried a while. Then he began to tell them what had befallen him from Satan under the form of an angel. But when Adam heard his account, he kissed his face and warned him against that angel, telling him it was Satan who thus appeared to him. Then Adam took Seth, then came to the cave of treasure, and rejoiced therein. But from that day forth Adam and Eve never parted from him, to whether place he may go, whether for his offering or for anything else. This sign happened to Seth when he was 9 years old. So I'm going to stop right there in chapter 6. I hope this was a blessing for you. Listen to this video, as I always say, a couple of times, and meditate on it. And may God bless.